Official complaint on police misconduct battery with a deadly weapon offender Sergeant Stephen Lester Rachal Jr. Natchitoches Police Department. Natchitoches Parish, State of Louisiana. On Saturday, April 15, I proceeded to recover my personal belonging that had been withheld during an alleged disturbing the peace arrest by the Natchitoches Police Department. Other law enforcement officials advised me to go to the station the following day to recover my items. These items, to the best of my memory, included, at minimum, my driver's license, a Nikon camera, a Toshiba tablet and an iPhone with an extended battery pack. On arriving at the station, at approximately 9 a.m., and reporting my purpose to the receptionist, I was told to take a seat in the lobby. Approximately 20 minutes later, the receptionist advised me Sergeant Rachal Jr. had arrived. Mr. Rachal soon afterwards came to the lobby, with a female officer witness, and asked me what I needed. I requested my personal items be returned but instead was shockingly informed they were being held for forensics to determine if I had child pornography. Mr. Rachal's statement, tone, and demeanor were offensive and defamatory. Mr. Rachal had previously asserted insulting and defamatory remarks about what he alleged was my mental illness, and further provocative remarks that he was going to take me to get me some help. I questioned him how he had gone from his mental illness allegation to an undescribed disturbing the peace charge and arrest, and now to a completely unfounded defamatory allegation of child pornography. This all stemming from someone making false allegations and assertion about pictures taken in public in my surrounding area from my car. Mr. Rachal smirked about going through my personal items and reflected great satisfaction with keeping my personal belongings. I then asked Mr. Rachal for an inventory list for my personal belonging he was withholding, but he arrogantly refused. He left the lobby and came back with my camera and a form he wanted me to sign. I soon realized that there were now 4 to 5 officers in the lobby cornering me, in a menacing way. Mr. Rachal held out towards my face a document and waved it aggressively, asking if I was going to sign it or not multiple times. I had no idea what the document was, and under all the duress, I spontaneously reached out and took the document he was waving at me. As soon as I took the form from his hand, Mr. Rachal inexplicably, suddenly, and without provocation struck my throat with a combat hand attack that was painful and debilitating. Mr. Rachal then proceeded to grip my windpipe with the hand that struck my throat and choked me as he pushed me backwards into the wall. Mr. Rachal pinned me with his body mass and used his position to get better leverage to clinch my windpipe and twist my neck as he lifted me upwards with the choke technique. The other 4 officers in the lobby, rather than stopping the assault or aiding me, moved in closer to surround me, which further armed me as I gasped for air. It seemed they were also going to join in on the attack, but the other officers held their position just a few inches away as I was being choked. I was afraid to even lift a hand to defend myself, and Mr. Rachal had full unimpeded exposure to my throat. The initial unexpected head strike to my throat and the following hand grip Mr. Rachal used to compress my windpipe while I was pinned against the wall caused a blacking out. Mr. Rachal snarled something about not snatching the document from his hand, and as I gasped for air, I tried to explain it was not meant that way and that no offense was intended. Just as my knees buckled from the lack of oxygen, Mr. Rachal came to his senses and released my throat. I was dazed and semi-conscious and don't remember exactly what I ended up signing. I do remember asking Mr. Rachal for the inventory of my personal belonging and he menacingly warning me to leave immediately, which I did. Mr. Rachal is harassing me with defamatory remarks, an unlawful arrest, a witch hunt, and now physical and mental injuries. Mr. Rachal did not even ask for my side of the surrounding events and allegations. Even at the station, in spite of signing a to speak and or answer questions without an attorney, he refused to talk or interrogate me. Mr. Rachal has instead taken a hostile, prejudicial attitude with me designed to inflict injury. He has on multiple times insulted and defamed me with proactive remarks about my mental health and his perceived illusion of heinous crimes. Mr. Rachal also seemed very ready and willing to drive me off to some distant detention center to spend my Easter weekend there. Knowing well and maliciously that posting bond would be difficult on a holiday weekend. Mr. Rachal had no legal basis for arresting and imprisoning me and is now further harassing me with his baseless fishing expedition, denying me important personal belonging, regardless of what inconvenience and losses they inflict on me. I found a warrant authorizing a search of my camera based on his prejudicial illusions of me. Based on prejudice, he is proceeding to search my other belongings without presenting me with a warrant. Without a warrant, any intrusion into my property will be construed as a further violation of my constitutional rights. Mr. Rachal has already reviewed my camera photos and copied the memory chip. Because there is no evidence of any wrongdoing, especially no criminal behavior, he continues to harass me. And now has also physically attacked, inflicted physical and mental injury without the slightest cause. Mr. Rachal is clearly unqualified to be an officer of the law and has a dangerous temper, unprofessional disposition, and abusive character. Mr. Rachal's character is similar to the recently exposed Georgia sergeant recorded criminally striking a young black citizen with a vicious combat elbow blow to the face. He was subsequently terminated when a cover-up failed. Mr. Rachal's assault is very similar in nature and character. There are body cameras on the 4 to 5 Natchitoches police that witnessed this crime, as well as the lobby camera video. The complaint against Mr. Rachal is true and accurate as the video evidence shows. The manner in which he used his hands on my throat constituted use of hands in such a way that it could easily have led to death. Because of the nature of the crime, battery in Louisiana is the intentional infliction of violence or force against another person, such as punching another person or hitting someone with an object. And 1436. Law Code CRM Proc. And Art. 883.2. Further, the attack is intentionally reckless, rude, insulting, and in an angry manner causing body injury with a deadly weapon. There have been multiple incidents involving Natchitoches police harassment before. A previous form, assault and dereliction of police officer duty, been submitted as well as discussing with a station chief. Police have intruded on home privacy, at all hours of the night or day, to interrogate me about a disturbed neighbor complaining of pictures I have taken outside from my home. Taking pictures in public is not against the law, and intrusions of it is in violation of the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Knowing this, Natchitoches Police Department have continued to harass me, and these incidents are very likely orchestrated efforts to hurt me. Sergeant Rachal prejudicial nature and dereliction of duty to properly investigate the incident leading to my arrest is simply retaliatory for the consequences some of his cohorts should have encountered from previous complaints.
Mr. Campos, I have reviewed your complaint and the investigative results thereof. As I appreciate the facts of your complaint, you went to the Natchitoches Police Department on April 15, 2017 to retrieve some personal belongings taken from you the day before when you were arrested. You went on to say in your typed statement that Sergeant Rachal suddenly and without provocation struck your throat and pushed you backwards into a wall. Ultimately, you were released, signed the receipt for your property, and allowed to leave. As always, there are two sides to this story. It is my job to consider all the information, determine whether or not any policy violations occurred, and if so, what disciplinary action should befall the employee. That determination then has to be sent to the appointing authority for approval. After reviewing the facts of this complaint, it was determined that Sergeant Rachal did violate policy. A written letter of reprimand was placed in Sergeant Rachal's permanent personnel file. Thank you for bringing this matter to my attention. Chief M. Dove, Natchitoches Police Department.